Sonic Forces is so bad that daily I wake up in a cold sweat of disappointment because this game is just so terrible. Over dramatic? Sure, but that's kind of how we do things around here, which is something I really didn't want to have to come here to say, since while not being the most stable franchise out there, it's still one of my all-time favorites. Even some of the more hated games in the series, I was able to find myself enjoying them for one reason or another. But not only is Sonic Forces the worst game I've played all year in a year of amazing games. I mean, I played and beat the game, but 3 weeks later, it feels like the game never even came out. But it is also one of the worst Sonic games I've played to date. And with the exception of the oddball spin-offs like Sonic Labyrinth or Sonic Spinball, I'd say next to Sonic 2006, it's my least favorite main series Sonic game. And why is that? Well, because Sonic Forces is a clunky mess of a game that feels like a step back from what the other Boost games set in place, with some of the worst level design in the series history, as well as arguably the worst unresponsive controls that we've seen in a 3D Sonic game to date. That kind of sums up the tone of this video. We're going there. I was originally gonna make this video months back addressing my concerns, but didn't want to have to deal with people flooding my comment section telling me to wait for the full game to release, as if people aren't allowed to have first impressions, or as if I don't have eyes and I can't already see flaws that the game is having. I mean, people tore Nintendo life to shreds for saying the game was bad months before it came out, and he actually played the game, so I wasn't trying to deal with that. But let's just say my fears for this game were there, and there were actually more complaints I had with this game once I actually played it. But let's go down the list here. The controls for this game are a disaster. Not only has Sonic's moveset been stripped from what he had in the other Boost games, but controlling this character feels even worse. For some reason, they thought it was a good idea to get rid of drifting, which was pretty much necessary if you wanted to cut tight corners going at fast speeds. But since it's not here, you'll be flying off the tracks unless you slow down your movements drastically and won't be able to get into different areas. What exactly was the reason for getting rid of this mechanic? It makes no sense. But guess what did make a return? The wisps. And for some reason, your boost gauge is still tied to them and enemies, which means your boost is extremely limited and the game pretty much tells you when to boost, unlike in the other games where you could experiment with the course because it was tied to rings. When rings were tied to your boost gauge like in Unleashed in Generations, even if you knew the levels like the back of your hand, and even if you took off the second you touched the ring, on average, it'd still take you 3 to 5 minutes to finish most levels. But really, if they didn't do that here, you'd probably breeze through each level in under a minute because they're kind of short as it is. On my first blind playthrough, I was clearing each level in about 2 minutes. Probably could have done it quicker if boost wasn't so limited, and if I didn't have to sit through moments where the game was on autopilot. And maybe this is just me, but I feel like the homing attack in this game is just atrocious. There will be many times where you're trying to attack an enemy just for the cursor to not lock onto that enemy, or Sonic won't move, period, so you're forced to go in a different direction. For example, in Sonic Unleashed, Sonic actually moves and you can get a lot closer to your enemies when you home on them. Doesn't work like that in this game. Like, I'm trying to go left to lock onto this enemy so I can go down this path, but for some weird reason, Sonic is stuck and doesn't want to move, so I had to keep retrying the level over and over again until I randomly hit it one time. And this is just modern Sonic. We're gonna go through all these characters. Next up, we have Classic Sonic. Classic Sonic is just awful. And yes, I'm going to compare him to Sonic Mania because Sonic Mania just exposes why I was against its playstyle and Forces from the very beginning. It feels like Classic Sonic adds nothing to the gameplay or story. Because he doesn't. Because both Modern and the custom character both have 2D gameplay sections. But Classic Sonic's level design is one of the worst I've seen from a 2D Sonic game. This character feels like complete trash to play with. Unlike in Mania, he jumps in a way that makes you overshoot or undershoot the platform. And make no mistake, this is not exclusive to him, because everybody feels like that in Sonic Forces. His sense of momentum and speed is laughable. In the older Sonic games, if you were fast enough, you could actually outrun the camera. Here, you have a fixed speed the entire game, unless you're spin dashing. And even when running at full speed, he can't even get over simple curves. And then finally, we have the absolute worst part of this game, the custom character. I cannot stand playing as this character. His levels are by far the worst and force us to go through the same type of levels as modern Sonic, except for the fact that you have to deal with something that has plagued the Boost series since the very beginning: moving, yeah, just walking around feels like the worst thing ever. It never feels good, and it always feels slow and heavy. And then when you transition to 2D, where it becomes even worse, it feels like this character becomes fast, yet slow, floaty, and heavy, all at the same time. Like, you have to play it to know what I'm talking about. So many times I've fallen off or missed a platform because this character controls like garbage. It's really hard to get a feel for how you're supposed to get on platforms accurately with this character. In pretty much every other platformer, if you tell your character to move, they move. But here, it feels like you're platforming in zero gravity, but have the weight of a rock. All of the play styles in this game are terrible, and 2 of the 3 that have existed in previous games are even worse here. And also, it feels like I spent most of my time going in a straight line, grinding, and doing 2D sections more than 3D with modern Sonic. Avatar seemed to lean more on the 2D side of things, and of course Classic was 2D. Again, for a game that's supposed to be a 3D Sonic game, they focus way too much on 2D here, which is crazy to me because 2D is when this game is at its absolute worst. Now let's talk about the levels themselves. Boring. With the exception of like Metropolis, I gotta say, this is probably the most boring set of levels that we've had in a Sonic game, and they're extremely short too. Most levels will range from about 1 to 2 minutes, and they're not exactly fun either.
Eggman's forces are scattering bombs like confetti.
We can't go on like this!
The whole place is going up in flames. Not the kind of fireworks I like.
And some of the levels do this stupid thing where it takes the controls away from you for like 20 to 30 seconds while you watch some cutscene and wait to do some QuickTime events.
Unidentified platform on the radar. Something from the jungle?
I guess all the explosions riled it up. So look like we'll get past without a fight. You're so gonna regret that. Hedgehogs don't make good snacks. Firepower. Still, it doesn't matter if they can't land their shots. Here goes nothing.
I know people like to say that even if the game is bad, the soundtracks are usually really good. And while I don't think the soundtrack is bad in Sonic Forces, a lot of the songs here don't fit the levels. There's a difference between good music and songs that actually go with the level. For example, here's some music that's good and actually go with the theme of the levels. All these songs had music to fit the level or situation at hand. Frozen Factory had a Christmas sound to it, the casino level in Sonic Adventure sounded really jazzy, and Green Forest was on the verge of blowing up, so it had a fast-paced, get-out-of-there type of vibe going on. Now here's some music that sounds good, but feels out of place in Sonic Forces. Do you see the difference here? While they may be good to listen to on their own, most songs in Sonic Forces do not fit the theme of the level at all, especially the custom character songs, with the exception of like the water stage. And before somebody comments in the comment section, no, it's not because they have vocals that I think the music doesn't work in custom character stages. Look at the rap music that plays in Sonic Adventure 2 for Knuckles. Say what you will about the quality of the songs, but they still fit the theme of the levels that they were going for. You could easily listen to the instrumentals of stages like Aquatic Mine and tell that it's supposed to be a water level, or Pumpkin Hill and see that they were going for a haunted kind of vibe, just in hip-hop form. But here, it doesn't work. That, and overall, you know, I just gotta be honest, I don't think the soundtrack in this game is very memorable. With the exception of Fist Bump and Infinite's theme, there was really nothing here all that memorable to me. We need to talk about this. What the heck is going on with the character of Sonic? In the modern game, starting with Sonic Adventure, Sonic was more of a cool character. He was heroic, had attitude, was more of a go-with-the-flow kind of guy, wasn't annoying. This is the most annoying main protagonist that I've ever had the displeasure of playing in a game, period.
Oh, great. See, Infinite? Now we're getting to know each other. So, what's your favorite color? Do you like long, romantic walks on the beach? What's the source of your power? You can skip the first 2 questions if you like.
And he's always going on and on about friendship.
Well, maybe by myself, but I had a little help from my friend. Something you wouldn't understand since you don't have any friends. Maybe he'd have more friends if he didn't talk about himself in the third person. My friends got me this far, and together, we're gonna win. Wrong, loser. The things that can't be defeated are heart, soul, and the bonds of friendship. 3 things you and your counterfeit cronies lack.
At least other characters who started out annoying in other games had some kind of character development, so you got to see these characters mature and become more responsible throughout the game. But in Sonic Forces, Sonic takes nothing seriously. You find out that Sonic has been captured by Eggman and has been tortured for 6 months. Locked up, tortured, half a year, 6 months. Then not only that, you find out that they're getting ready to launch Sonic into deep space, and guess how Sonic is after all this? Sonic, we're gonna launch you into deep space. Are you ready to meet your doom? Yeah! You know, I can't stand this Sonic, man. And this is something I've been noticing since Sonic Colors, but at least Sonic Colors and Sonic Lost World were more lighthearted games, so it was acceptable there. But here, where Eggman has taken over the world and killed a lot of the resistance, and Sonic should have some kind of personal revenge he wants to get on him and Infinite after being beaten up, locked away, and tortured for 6 months, but he seems to be pretty upbeat and cheerful, all things considered. Which brings up the question as to why they were hyping this story to be some kind of darker story like Sonic Adventure 2 or Shadow the Hedgehog, just for the character to act silly in all situations. This scene, from the very first trailer, is the most serious that we see Sonic, and it's not even in the game. And don't even get me started on Tails. This character is such a whiny kid in this game. You know, let's talk about it. Chaos Zero goes to attack him in one of the cutscenes, and all he does is cower in fear while screaming for Sonic, who is allegedly dead, to save him, completely ignoring the fact no problem against Chaos since he beat Chaos 4 back in Sonic Adventure, a much stronger version of Chaos, but can't seem to deal with the weakest form of Chaos. And also, what's up with this heavy reliance on Sonic? And yes, I'm going to keep referencing Sonic Adventure because it was the first game that really pushed this character forward. Sonic Adventure established that Tails didn't need Sonic and could fend for himself, which is what his theme song, Believe in Myself, is all about.
If I just follow you, I will not see the light. Now's the time to find my way through this life. I'm trying so hard to be strong. I keep going, everything is a brand new challenge for me. I will believe in myself. This is the only start for me.
Did nobody else pay attention to the lyrics? Is it just me? Even outside the lyrics, at the end of Adventure 1, you fight Dr. Eggman by yourself, beat him, and save the city folk of Station Square, and they applaud you. And Tails is happy because he believed in himself and stopped Eggman. And then to top it off, Not only is Tails no longer running behind Sonic, always trying to keep up with him like his theme suggests, but Sonic is now the one running behind him at the end of the game, showing that he accomplished what he set out to do, and now he doesn't need to rely on Sonic like he always did in the past, because he is now a character that is more than capable to get the job done. Even going into Sonic Adventure 2, when Eggman shoots Sonic into space and the shuttle blows up where it's presumed he's dead, Tails does not stop to cry and grieve for Sonic. He's still focused on the mission and stopping Eggman. I realize I'm probably looking way too much into this kind of thing, so I'm just gonna stop before people get the wrong idea about me and think I'm some kind of insane Sonic fan. But both of these characters are just wrong and need to be fixed in the next game. Another thing that was supposed to push this story along was the returning villains of the series, but let me tell you how that goes down. Chaos, irrelevant. Only limited to 2 cutscenes in the entire game. You don't even fight him. Shadow, also irrelevant. Same thing as Chaos. You don't even fight this character. And Metal Sonic is just what you would expect from Metal Sonic. Really, the only character that did anything important from the returning villains, and I say important very loosely here, was the demon guy. And no, comment section, I don't care what his name is, just stop. And you know, before I would talk to people about why they were hyped for Sonic Forces, and make no mistake, I was hyped for this game too, they would just blatantly lie to me and tell me something stupid like the only reason they play Sonic games anymore is for the deep story, like, yo man, the only reason I'm playing Sonic Forces, yo, apparently there's a character out there that's faster than Sonic, man, I need to see how it goes down, yo. These were things that people told me, and I thought they were insane. But as bad as Sonic was in this game, and as badly paced as the story was for this game, and even though they hyped up Infinite to be some mysterious character that we're supposed to figure out who he was, just for the game to not even tell us, even with all that, I was more interested in getting to the next cutscene rather than getting to the next stage. Which puts me in an awkward position because I laughed at these people and made fun of them for lying to me. You know, I'm tempted to call Sonic Forces the worst mainline series game to date, because at least Sonic 06 has a reason to be broken and buggy, but this game really has no reason. The gameplay is broken and feels awkward to play on all playstyles. The gameplay is a step back from what generations already set in place. The story is jumbled and jumps all over the place and has no real build up because the events happen way too fast. Sonic and Tails are both annoying. Classic Sonic's music sounds like it came out of Sonic Spinball and still uses Sega Genesis sounds for some reason, unlike Sonic Mania, which is why Sonic Mania sounds leagues better than Sonic Forces. Songs that would otherwise be good for modern Sonic all have this loud, obnoxious synth that's always playing in the background, and while the Avatar music is probably the best of the playstyles, it also has to be the most out of place music for the entire game. And lastly, how are we in 2017, going on 2018 soon, and visually, this game isn't even up to par with a game that came out almost a decade ago with Sonic Unleashed. Visually, Sonic Unleashed was one of the best looking games of its generation. Now, admittedly, the game ran like crap, but on much stronger hardware, there's really no reason why this game should be looking worse than that game. Do not buy Sonic Forces, people. There are so many other games that you could be buying and playing right now. Go play Mario Odyssey. You save your money for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Go buy Pokemon. Pick up a Hat in Time. I hear that's pretty good. Super Lucky's Tale, Sonic Mania, whatever. Because unless you are a die-hard Sonic fan, the chances of you enjoying this game are extremely low. But I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Have a good one.
If this woman you see here, seated as my wife, ever greeted me with a fist bump, I'd give her a left hook.